All right, so some pretty big news coming out of Utah, or rather, it should be big news, but it hasn't caught the headlines like it should because it really is one of the biggest fights we can fight during this whole culture war. Before we get into that, I thought it would be nice to share this story. This was a few days ago, so I'm a little bit behind. But Novak Djokovic, he won the Australian Open, which is great news because he's really proven to be quite courageous, I guess is the right word to use for it, in terms of the COVID vaccine mandates, especially over in Australia. I don't know if you know this story, but last year at the Australian Open, he was banned from participating in the event. So he showed up to the country and then they they kicked him out. So they deported him, said, "You're not vaxxed, you cannot play." And that wasn't just some small potato issue. This guy is possibly the greatest tennis player of all time, and on top of that, he is the winningest player at the Australian Open. No one has won more matches, has won more titles at the Australian Open than he has. So it was huge headlines. And he stated the reason for that was his faith. So he wanted a religious exemption from it. He's a Serbian Catholic, and he cited his religious beliefs are the reason why he does not want to take this jab, whatever you want to call it, this travesty. So he wasn't allowed to play, and he comes back this year and wipes out the competition, which you'd think, oh wow, how can he do that against all of these vaccinated players? Shouldn't he be dying from COVID right now? Apparently not. He seems to be just fine. And I also heard that he was dealing with this pretty big tear in his hamstring on top of that. So even with that injury, he still completely wiped out the competition. I think he lost one set, which is a remarkable feat. So that's some good news right there. I thought that was a heartwarming story. Good for him. And then, yeah, the story out of Utah. So this was actually the governor of Iowa also signed like the bill similar to this one earlier, and it's a school choice bill. So pretty much any private school in the state will get public funding the way a public school would. So that hasn't been the case before. So what happens is that makes the tuition really expensive a lot of times, and a lot of parents can't afford that. So they have to send their children to public schools, and we know what kind of disaster those have become. I mean, those have always been a disaster, but this is really bad now. And so this is amazing. We need more states to adopt this because it's that the education of the children is extremely important. It's There's only so much you can do as parents. It obviously there's a lot that has to be taken care of as a parent. You are the primary teachers of your children, but what children learn in school is also going to be important to their upbringing. And another bit of good news here is that they're saying also look out for Arkansas, Florida, Nebraska, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Texas. So there seems to be a movement happening here because there were almost no states that had this before this. And if we really want to fight this public school system, all this grooming, whatever else you want to say, we have to we have to fight it here because we're not going to salvage these public schools. There's just no way. The rot runs too deep. We need alternatives. We need alternatives that get funding, get government funding. And unfortunately, I don't see Kansas up here. It's where I live. That's just, it's unfortunate. But the thing is, we have a super majority Republicans in the state Senate and the state House. So if a bill passed with a supermajority vote, the governor couldn't veto it. However, there are rhinos and just fake conservatives also in office that would not allow it to be passed as a supermajority vote, which means our wonderful governor is going to veto it if anything like that passed. So we're kind of stuck for another 4 years probably till we can possibly get a governor who is willing to sign it and not veto it. So yeah, that's unfortunate about Kansas. We do have some good people in the government. Don't get me wrong. My state representative is great. He's a good, honest guy, not in it for the money. So I know he's definitely been trying to pursue something like this for our state. And another point, and the Democrats, I noticed they tried using this as a bad thing, but it's actually just another good point in our favor, is they say, oh, well, if we move these funds towards other schools, that takes away funding from the public schools. Good. Anything to undermine these cesspools of just filth. I mean, that's just what it is. It just gets worse and worse every year. And anything to, I mean, this is a double win right here, is to get alternatives and you undermine the issues too on the process. You can't ask for better than that. So this is really a very important issue that I just don't see conservatives just going over enough. It's really one of the most important fights we should be fighting right now in terms of this culture war. And you know, that's a big win. We need more states to follow suit, and it looks like there might be. So let me know what you think. And thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.